Hello and welcome back to Sports and Stuff. We're back, baby. Sports and Stuff. Back and better than ever. I'm Patrick Haggerty. I'm your host, and I'm going to be talking about a couple things. Firstly, whether I think that Aaron Boone should get fired from the Yankees, from the New York Yankees. Now, I'm going to preface this conversation by saying that Aaron Boone definitely will not be getting fired. No shot. It's 0% that Aaron Boone is going to get fired going into the 2026 season. He has 2 years left on his contract. They're going to let him run out the 2 years. If he doesn't win the World Series within the next 2 years, then they'll get rid of him. I'd put that at like 80%. They'll get rid of him. But they say that they like to have managers for 10 years. So that'll be 2018 to 2027. That'll be 26 and 27. He'll still be the manager, and then after that, they'll decide. But they really like him. They like Aaron Boone, so they're not going to fire him. So let's preface it by saying that they're not going to fire Aaron Boone. Now, should they? Do I think they should fire Aaron Boone? They could. I think it would make a whole lot of sense if they fired Aaron Boone. I think that would make a lot of sense because they've won a lot during Aaron Boone's tenure. I bet there's some stat that he has the second most wins during that time, like second most to the Dodgers wins during that time of any manager, probably because any other manager has been removed from managing. But even maybe per team, the Yankees probably have the second most wins per team in that span. Maybe the Astros are ahead of them still, but the Yankees are probably 2 or 3 in that range. So there's some things to defend Aaron Boone in that sense, that he wins a fair amount, that he wins a lot. But there's plenty of instances of teams who win who just can't get over the hump. And when a team wins a lot but can't get over the hump, it's pretty reasonable to get rid of the manager or get rid of the head coach, depending on the sport. In this case, the Yankees are clearly right on the edge of winning World Series, of even making it to World Series consistently. 8 years he's been to one World Series. That's really not great for a team like that. I think of the mid-2000s Colts. The mid-2000s Colts with Peyton Manning. If the mid-2000s Colts with Peyton Manning kept winning like 11, 12, 13 games and just losing in the conference championship, losing in the divisional round, losing in the wild card round, maybe making one Super Bowl but losing there as well, just over and over again, just couldn't quite get over the hump, they'd fire their head coach because they have this great roster. They have this team. They have this guy, the singular guy, who should be getting them to that point of really good no matter what. And they just can't get over the hump. So you got to change something. It might be that the way of interacting with the players is a little bit off, and it's important to change the person who's talking to them. So it makes sense. Like in other sports, the Knicks just did it. The New York Knicks just had their best season in decades and then fired their coach because that coach got them to this point where they're really good, consistently really good, and they might need a new guy to get them to that next level. It's like World War II. It's a lot like World War II. It's probably more like World War II than anything else. It's just a joke that it is like that, but it's kind of like that in that you had Winston Churchill was put in as the what's the word? The guy who was the head of Great Britain. He was the what's the word I'm looking for? Winston Churchill was the prime minister. There you go. Got it. So Winston Churchill was the prime minister and was named prime minister at the beginning of World War II, or towards the beginning of World War II, as the Brits were there. And the idea being that he is a wartime prime minister. Once World War II ended, he was immediately removed because he was not meant to rule, or he was not meant to be the prime minister for Great Britain, for England, during a time of peace. There's different managers for different things. Maybe the Yankees needed guys to keep everything at a chill, at a on the level pace, on the level area during maybe Aaron Judge's rise to greatness. Let's say it like that. That during Aaron Judge's rise to being the best player in baseball, it was important to have an ease to the managerial way of doing things. And Aaron Boone was the guy. It got due to this point of consistency. It seems, even if you wanted to argue that Girardi had that great 2017, but previously missed the playoffs a bunch, now that's not totally on him, because a lot of those missed playoff appearances were because they were prioritizing getting Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera their send-off. So they didn't really make the best rosters possible. They were making plenty of money off of these farewell tours. But if you want to say that Joe Girardi needed to be removed because you needed to usher in this new form of manager conduct, fine. Aaron Boone's had his time to really get them over the hump, and he's consistently made the playoffs. He's missed the playoffs once in 8 years, which is very good. Joe Girardi missed the playoffs 4 times. 08, his first year. He also missed the playoffs in 13, 14, and 16. So he missed the playoffs 4 times out of 10. He did win a World Series, but he missed the playoffs 4 times, and a lot of those were towards the end of his tenure as manager. So they got Aaron Boone, and now his percentage of making the playoffs is a whole lot better. So you have this guy who got you to a consistent level, and now it might be time to get a guy who is going to push them to the next level. And Aaron Boone doesn't seem to be that guy. But they're going to keep him. So that's that. I think that it would make a lot of sense to get rid of him, but they're not going to. So what do you do with Aaron Boone as the manager? The way I see it is, I look at the year that they did make the World Series. They made the World Series in 2024 when they had 2 way in their prime offensive players in Judge and Soto, who just anchored the lineup, and they make the lineup, or they did when they were together, they made the lineup a sure thing. If you look at their on-base percentages, they were effectively, one of them was going to be on base every single time through the lineup. It felt like throughout the entire season, when they were going to come up, when Soto and Judge were up in the same inning, it felt like, and more than it felt like, just because of my expectations, my hope, my memory serves me that anytime they would come up in the same inning, the Yankees were going to score a run. So if they got 4 at-bats each, it felt like they were going to score 4 runs on their bad days. Even if the other team was all over these guys, they were going to score 4 runs. Whereas if you have a more complete lineup, it might be that you're more consistently scoring more runs, but you're also more consistently scoring less runs because there's more guys who can be shut down. Judge and Soto were in a position where it was very rare that they were going to be each shut down entirely. And it's almost like they were just going to see so many pitches that they were even going to help other players. The guys batting in front of them were helped because the leadoff hitter batting in front of Soto was going to get lots of pitches to hit. The guys behind Soto and Judge we're going to see a pitcher who had just thrown a bunch of pitches, even if they didn't get on base. So it was creating this anchor that felt like a sure thing in the lineup. They lost Soto, and if I'm going to give them a break on 2025, they kind of were playing catch-up after losing out on Soto. Got a few players that presumably could, or at least potentially offensively, were only going to be 1 year. Goldschmidt for sure only going to be 1 year. Bellinger was going in. You were hoping that it was just 1 year contract because if he plays well enough, he was going to opt out of his contract, and then it was going to make it 1 year for him as well. So now the offense is kind of back to the same point that it was when we lost out on Soto. So So there's a chance. So presumably we should be able to get somebody who is a similar contract to Soto. Now, yes, we got Max Fried, but that was in as a pitcher. But let's just assume that we're talking offensively, and offensively speaking, we didn't get Soto. There was nobody else like Soto to get. We got Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt to do some level of job in replacing that offense. Both of them are going to be gone. And now, going into this next offseason, the Yankees should be able to get a player of the same level of contract, whether it's same annual or same amount of time. It's not going to be the same type of contract as what Soto got. It's going to be a lot less than what we were offering him, which should even make it more possible. So if you go out and you spend some money, you should be able to, if there's a guy who could replace Juan Soto, then you can go do it. Now that guy would be Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is available in free agency this coming off season, and Tucker would be the closest, certainly in the next few years, to replacing Soto's production. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is close if he's the closest, but I would say that he is. He's frequently on base percentage above 350, which is in that elite category, not just solid. He's in the elite category of on base. He's also at times in the elite category of power. Now, going back to Soto, before he came to the Yankees and was batting in front of Judge, he's done it with the Mets now too, but he was a on-base guy. He was elite on base, and then at times had the power. Tucker would be going to the Yankees if he was to go to the Yankees, and he'd be batting in front of Judge. So it'd be a similar situation where it'd be this on-base guy who has a really solid eye, who has an ability and has already shown his ability to hit 30 home runs in a season, and also is a lefty in Yankee Stadium. So the chances of him getting more pitches to hit in front of Judge and having the short porch in Yankee Stadium, so that and leading to him having a power surge in the same way that Soto did coming to the Yankees, hitting 40 home runs, it seems pretty probable. It seems like Kyle Tucker coming to the Yankees and having that same level of jump from really good at everything, probably Hall of Famer, to great at everything and stud Hall of Famer, in the way that Soto did in many ways. Maybe Soto is a notch above him offensively. Tucker's better defensively, but we're just talking about offense. Tucker would probably, I would say almost certainly, take that jump as long as he's healthy and in front of Judge, getting that many pitches to hit. He's going to hit, and playing in Yankee Stadium, he's going to hit 40 home runs in a full season if he plays a full season. So getting Tucker would effectively replace Soto. Effectively fully replace Soto. He might have similar numbers being in front of Judge to what Soto is doing with the Mets, certainly. And Soto ended up showing that he can do it anywhere because he did it with the Mets and kind of did it with the Mets in front of Pete Alonso. So he probably got some level of protection over the course of the year when playing in front of Alonso, especially since Alonso had a great year. Alonso's a big power threat at the very least. It's not the same protection as Judge. So again, I would say that means that Soto's just awesome, that he was ready to break out and go from being really, really good at everything to being great at everything offensively. And it just so happened to coincide with playing with Judge and playing with the short porch. Now, Tucker, if you look at his stats, the amount of home runs that would have been home runs the amount of balls that he hit that were not home runs and would have been home runs in Yankee Stadium, it's like 25. Like he would have had way more home runs if he was, and that of course means that he would be playing all of his games in Yankee Stadium, which wouldn't be the case. He'd be playing half of them. But if you take half of those, then it's 12 or 13 homers that he's hitting extra, and that's in a shortened year that he got hurt a little bit. So he'd be like a 35 home run hitter like that with the Yankees. Compared to Cody Bellinger, who Bellinger's awesome. If they re-sign Bellinger, that'd be fine. That'd be cool. I mean, it's of course the Yankee the spoiled Yankee fan way of saying like, yeah, if they re-sign Cody Bellinger, I guess that's okay. But if they do, then that is okay. But compared to Tucker, Bellinger had his average season, which very good. He could do better than what he did last year. Had an OPS in the 815 range, was really awesome and could do better. He's definitely a high 8s OPS potential, depending on the season. Tucker was better in what was mainly a down year, or the last half of the season was a down year for Tucker. He OPS like 860, 870, and that was in a down year, which was a little bit better than Bellinger's average year. So Bellinger's good year would have been better than Tucker's bad year, which, hey, again, that's solid, and Bellinger's a center fielder, so there's reasons to prefer Bellinger and over Tucker. I want the offense, though. I want them to figure out defense everywhere else. You have a great third baseman defensively. You have shortstop defense is a defensive position right now for the Yankees at best. It's a defensive position. You have a good second baseman defensively. You have a good catcher defensively in Wells. Judge is a good defensive right fielder. If you got Tucker, he'd be a good defensive left fielder. Our center field we wouldn't know what was up with that defensively. You'd have Dominguez or Spencer Jones in there. Hopefully one of them can actually play center field. Dominguez, that's his main position. Give him a shot. Spencer Jones, same thing. You let them play it out. Whoever the better defensive center fielder is gets the job. I want that stud offense. I want that stud offense that we had 2 years ago. Even though last year technically we had a very complete offense last year. This past year, 2025 had a very complete offense. 2024 had more of that, had that guarantee in the middle of the lineup, which made it so that when you go to the playoffs, no matter who you're going against, even great pitchers, these guys are going to get on base and they're going to get knocked in by the next guy, even if it's on a sac fly or something of the like. Where you had other players, even a Cody Bellinger, very, very good on base percentage, more in the average range, in the slightly above average range, not in the elite range, which made it so that there was more of a chance of these players getting shut down completely. They had maybe more of a chance of having this full onslaught against a particular team where the entire team is hitting, but you don't have these two guarantees in the middle of your lineup where, Judge batted 500. If there was a guy in front of him who had an on-base of 400 in the postseason, that would have changed a lot. So this is all to say, the one year that Boone's Yankees did make the World Series, and even if you want to go to Judge's Yankees have made the World Series, it's when they have another offensive player who is in their prime and a lefty who can just take advantage of all these pitches they're going to get to hit because of Judge and just deposit them into the right field bleachers and the right field porch at Yankee Stadium, which Soto did that. Kyle Tucker would be potentially he is within the top 5 of guys who could take most advantage of being in front of Judge. You got Soto, Ohtani. And then Tucker's in that wishy-washy third other tier that depends on the year. But he would be in that third tier and potentially at the top of that third tier. I mean, he's pretty awesome. His WAR and his overall stats are generally pretty high up there as compared to a guy like Bellinger, who he's not in that wishy-washy third tier. It would be like Bellinger and Betts and Vlad Guerrero and who else? The guy on the Astros, Yordan Alvarez. So there's like another tier of, they're awesome, and there's a really good chance they're going to OPS 950. They also might OPS 880, which is still really great. That's like their bottom tier, where you look at Judge and Ohtani are in their own category, and really Judge is in his own category. But you want to put Judge and Ohtani offensively are in that over 1,000 OPS category, where their bad years are going to be like 990, and then Soto's in his own tier and he might have gone into that top tier this past year because he was pretty awesome. But then you have that other tier, which is like I said, it's the Tucker, Vlad Guerrero, Mookie Betts, Yordan Alvarez, maybe a couple other players are in that tier of you could take your pick kind of thing. So it goes Judge, Ohtani, Soto, and then a take your pick. And if you take those players, right, Alvarez not available, Vlad Guerrero not available, Mookie Betts not available, Kyle Tucker is in that category, and he is available. But yeah, so they're not going to fire Boone, but maybe they should, and sign Kyle Tucker to a contract, and maybe trade Volpe for a reliever, and also sign JT Realmuto to be your right-handed catcher, and then you win the World Series. But for now, it's Rangers season and Giants season, but it's always about my Yankees. And we'll keep it at 22 minutes, which is the length of an average Simpsons episode. So I think that's as good as any time to let it fly. Thank you guys and for not watching. And good night and goodbye.